This episode of The Tales Behind the Talent is sponsored by Avain Language Services. If you need proofreading of English texts, translations between Swedish, English and Finnish, or private teaching in Swedish and English, please do not hesitate to contact avainservices@gmail.com. The following messages will only be in Finnish. Stay tuned for the episode. Kauppuri 5 on toteuttanut iskulausettaan krapulan hoitoa ja hankintaa jo vuodesta 2010. Kauppuri on käynyt läpi monta muodonmuutosta ja kehittänyt itseään vuodesta toiseen. Vuosi koronaa on nyt takana ja kauppuri on edelleen pystyssä, mutta veitsen terällä ollaan. Pelastetaan kauppuri. Yhdessä on Facebook-tapahtuma, jonka tiimolta ravintola pyritään pelastamaan. Mukana on suuri joukko yhteistyökumppaneita ja muita yrityksiä. Sun nimi, Vanerilaatta, oli hetkellisen päähänpiston kautta välittömästi toteutettu idea. Yksityishenkilö tai yritys voi ostaa itselleen paikan kauppurin katosta 20 euron kappale hintaan. Kauppuri 5 täyttää 16.4. jo 11 vuotta ja on siis lunastanut paikkansa tärkeänä osana Oulun ravintolaskeneä. Auta pelastamaan kauppuri. Lisätietoa Facebook-tapahtumasta. Hello there, dear listener, wherever you might be, and welcome to another episode of The Tales Behind the Talent, and this time as my guest I have Saku. So Saku, can you please introduce yourself for a little bit?
Well, hello there, everybody, wherever you might be. Like I said, my name is Saku Solin, and I'm a singer in bands called Fear of Domination and Turmion Kätilöt, and also doing some DJing stuff and, well, basically everything that is related in some way, in some kind of entertaining or show business.
Yeah, that was
really glad to be here.
Yeah, thanks that you. I was glad that you were able to make this interview, even though you had a stream yesterday. But we can talk about that a little bit later. But let's get down to business. How did you get introduced to music in your childhood?
Well, when I was really, really young, my stepfather used to listen a lot of the music. That might be a little bit more like Sex Pistols or some kind of Finnish punk music or anything like that. But also like well, you basically know, but Levi and the Leavings and traditional Finnish bands like those. And we had like I don't know, we had tons of nights that we just listened to different kind of bands and music. Nothing more, nothing less. And I think in a way that stuck with me because I still love to listen to music. And for example, when talking about Spotify, and Spotify has this weekly discovers for you, I just simply love those charts because I find new music every week and love to find new music every week.
Yeah.
And well, naturally, because I love to listen to music, I love to make music as well. So that I have bands.
So do you get like continuous inspiration from the music that you discover each week?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So we talked about what kind of music it was. It was like a Finnish rock music or that type of thing in the beginning. But at what point did you start to listen to a little bit heavier stuff?
It was somewhere around my teenage years. There was like a Sentence and Rammstein, him, of course, a little bit like Children of Bodom, of bands like those. But I was never like a so huge fan for the Children of Bodom. In my days, everybody seemed to listen to that band.
Yeah.
I was already more to the Rammstein or Rob Zombie kind of stuff.
Yeah, like more electronic.
Yeah,
vibes.
more with upbeat, like a bum bum stuff.
Yeah. Well, that has certainly stuck with you after listening to your music for several years. But at what point did you start to think that that kind of music or music in general would be something that you would like to do in the future?
I don't think I had any kind of like a one moment that realization happened, but more it was like I grow into it because I love to sing. I used to do sing in every kind of a school lesson or band courses or musicals or anything like that. And I love to perform in front of
Mm.
people. Let it be theater or let it be music, whatever.
Yeah.
And well, of course, we had made that decision to make Fear of Domination in 2006,
Mm.
something like that. But to be honest, it wasn't like it was more like a guys in the back of the garage drinking beer than
More.
like a
Yeah.
planned production of a band.
That would continue for like 15 years and
Yeah,
more. Yeah.
yeah. It was more just like having fun and I don't know, yelling to the mic because why not?
Yeah.
But as time passed by, it just like became quite clear to me that I love this and I love to do this and this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
I did lots of different kind of things in the entertaining business and live show business as well. For example, I've been building stages too, or taking them down for I don't know Metallica, Miley Cyrus, and big
Mm.
ones like those in the local crews. But still, even though those jobs were fun as well, but I realized that the one thing I really want to do is go on the stage and
And
perform to
perform.
the
Yeah.
audience. Yeah, and I don't know now. 15 years later, it seems that I'm doing quite well in that.
Yeah.
Besides the corona.
Definitely. Yeah. But so in your case, it was definitely you who decided that you're gonna start playing music, because for some people it's the parents that guide them towards playing the piano or guitar or something like that. But was it for you that you decided to?
It was more like my decision, to be honest. My
Mm.
parents first thought that this kind
Mm.
of band stuff is not even wise to do. But now they're my biggest fans, so no worries
Yeah.
about that. But it was definitely like my own decision,
Mm.
and that my own desire to go on the stage sure drives me every day and keeps driving me still.
Mm. And I think that's a like a powerful force in the music business, that people are entertainers and performers. uh, that's the priority kind of, for more for I don't want to say most people, but a lot of people, that they want to perform, and that's why they are in the business. Of course there are people who are making music for other reasons too, but that seems to be something in common for a lot of people.
In a
And
way, I think it's more like people want to express themselves.
yeah.
Usually it happens on stage. There is a lot of real naked emotions and passions and
Mm.
all that kind of things mixed with the performance. And I don't know, it's more like a drug in some way.
Yeah. But since you started uh, hassling with music, uh, have you had a break in your enthusiasm, or has it been continuous since you started to sing? And by the way, have you played an instrument at some point, or has it been singing?
For me, it always has been only the singing.
Yeah.
I'm not I'm not really good with any other instrument, even though I can do a little bit of those. But
Mm.
for me, it always been singing parts and expressing and exploring my voice
Mm.
and the ways I can use it in different ways.
When did you start doing the metal kind of singing, more like growls and screams and that kind of stuff?
I think it was when the band started, Fear of Domination started, and
Mm.
I started to explore those kind of things. But in the early years, it was simply just copying what different kind of singers have done already, with
Mm.
no like a real idea what you're doing in there, and the feeling of finding like my, let's say, my own voice. It came years later
Mm.
when I had like explored more of that sound and how to use my own sound and do the melody thing is even though you are doing like growls or grunts out.
Yeah. So since you started Fear Domination, how long did it take for you to publish your first record?
Mm, I think it was like the first album that we released, but it was like 2008. 2009 or 2008. So it was like a 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
A little bit more, like 3 years, I think it was, when we released our first album.
So how did it feel like then, like if that was your first project and first publication that you were yourself involved in? So did it seem or feel difficult to do, or was it just a natural process to do with the band?
I remember it was quite hard for us because we basically didn't know anything about the industry or the labels or any contacts or anything. We just basically, there was some kind of force that drives us up to do something, but basically, like in Finland we say perse edellä puuhun. That's basically the way we did it all the time. But when the time came and we found our contacts to the label, it was the same label Turmion Kätilöt had. The singer of Turmion Kätilöt, Petja Turunen, had this label called Osasto A, which signed us and released the first album. Of course, it was like a big step for us, at least in mentally way, and to have like something real, physical to look at, and you feel that this is really us. Even though we didn't like have any kind of like a real plan with what to do with the album, it was more like everybody else is publishing albums, we should do.
Yeah,
I think it was like more like the third album, the Distorted Delusions, which was the like a first really thought album with good producing, and well, it was published and it was recorded in a way that album should be done.
Okay. So in a studio and with a proper producer
Yeah,
and everything.
proper producer, and more like a thought from us as well when making the songs, that how the song should work and how the song should sound and everything like that.
Yeah. So did you kind of have a common theme in the first records that you thought about when making the songs, or was it just let's say about the first record, or was it just like songs that you made and then put in a record, or was there a clear like entity, or was it like a clear entity, I would say?
No, I think it was more like wow, this sounds cool, let's put it on the album.
Okay.
Nothing more. There was no there was no bigger plan or no bigger thinking behind any of the songs. It was more like yes, this sounds good, this song, let's put it in an album.
Yeah. But has that been a part later in your career that there's like a story that you can hear on the record, or a common theme?
I think that when talking about me and writing the lyrics, I have always done it more like a way that, in a way, I think of it like a painting, and I paint it with my colors, which are my lyrics as well. But in a way, I leave like little places unpainted, which the listener can then fill with his or her own expressions or feelings. And I have done that from the first songs I've ever done. Hopefully I'm a little bit better in it right now. But of course, in that way, there has always been some kind of story or some kind of idea why we are singing or why it sounds like it sounds. But naturally, as the years passed by, we became a lot better in that. We trained our skills, and as musicians and as songwriting goes and as lyric writing goes, we wanted to become better, and naturally we became better. It's like a natural way to go. If you do music for years, of course you have to improve yourself.
Yeah. So what kind of inspired you as Fear of Domination to start putting like electronic elements? Was it the same reason that you mentioned before, that you wanted to have the upbeat, like have the tempo involved also or how did you end up doing like industrial metal?
I think it was because when looking at our bands, for example, right now Fear of Domination is a 7-member band, and everybody brings their own something. Like Miki loves more like a new metal thingies, Slipknot thingies, when our keyboardist Lasse loves Dream Theater kind of music, for example. And so it's like a mixture of all of that. and somehow we just like the electric sound. Even though the main song it might be a little bit heavier, it might be more like Rammsteinish or something like that. But in a way, we just like found out that it sounded good. Maybe we could say that because we have listened to the Rammstein, or maybe because we have listened to some bands, those have influenced us naturally. But even though the time passes by and the new albums are coming, still we find that we want to use those electric elements and industrial sounds.
And I think that it has been working quite well for you, and the fans seem to like it a lot. At least I do. And then I had a question or a question that I ask everybody, even though it's an instrument or the vocals or any kind of well, your voice is an instrument too. But how have you been training since you started? You already said that you started doing the metal screaming and growling around the time that you started in the Fear of Domination project, but how has it been developing since then?
Well, since then, in the early years, when talking about like metal vocals and distorted vocals, I was basically like a copycatting everybody else. I found like a cool singer who had a cool sound, and I tried to copy that as well as I could. I watched his live shows. I watched something. I watched as how he or she used his body, his mouth expressions, and started to search how can I make a similar sound to that. And for example, one of the first ones for me was the singer of In Flames.
Yeah,
I loved how he used like the melodic style there. And in the early days, I was like a little bit frustrated because I couldn't find how to add that melody in the same way as he uses in the albums. But I discovered later on, I discovered that he uses 2 tracks, which he just sounds like in the same time. The another one is more metallic, more grunt, and another one is nearly clean.
okay.
And he combines those two, and that makes the mixture. And when looking at his live shows, sure, he uses melodic kind of voice, but he more like uses in some parties more metal, in some parties it goes more melodic. So when I found out that, I was like, it was a relief for me because I was so frustrated that I couldn't find the way to make it sounded like that. But when I don't even know how many singers I've been copying. But basically, all of my own sound development is because I have just seen so many good singers and tried to do what they do, and like add piece from there and add piece from there to my own sound. And of course, it's like a never-ending journey. Well, as well as I love to search for music, I love to search what I can do with my own voice, and try to do different kind of things. Let it be more clean or distorted, or screams or growls, whatever.
Yeah. So is that also a part of the thing that when you listen to music weekly, that you would like to find something that you would like to copy, like a new aspect to the vocals or something like that?
In a way, yes, but it's more like just loving the sounds and loving the music itself. It's not like a constant work for me to start to look for new vocals or stuff like that.
Yeah, of course.
And in a way, I just love to listen more like soundtrack stuff as well, or ambient stuff when I'm writing. So there might even be no vocals at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, still, when I found some kind of cool voice from someone, I might try to do that and start to explore how she or he does it, because it's just interesting for me.
Yeah. So have you been taking any like singing lessons, or are you self-taught completely?
I'm mostly self-taught. Of course, we had those band lectures in this high school, and but I have done some lessons with Sara and some lessons with Helena Haaparanta. But mostly I'm just like I have just trained with another singers. Well, in a way, I train my voice. I look what they do and they look what I do, and then we share some opinions and experiments.
Yeah. So at some point, I just can't remember the year, but you joined Turmion Kätilöt. So was it first like as a session singer, or how did it go?
Well, I remember the day I it was a good one. There is this cruise called Radio Rock Cruise, and we were partying there quite a lot. And then the Sunday came, and we were coming back home, and I just woke up in my cabin. And you know, when you go to another country on the boat, you don't have any kind of line in your cell phone. So when you come back to the Finland, it goes on bling, and there's like a million messages coming up. And I was like scrolling what has been happened right now, and then I got a straight text message from Petja Turunen, another singer from the Turmion, that hey, we need a new singer, and you're the best one I can think of. Would you like to join us? And I was like, I was completely stunned, because we haven't. Of course, I knew Petja from before, and we were friends even before that, but I had like no idea that. That's not it. we haven't talked anything before that they would like to have me in singing there. I haven't done any kind of like a session singing parts for anything for them before.
Okay.
So it was like a quite overwhelming situation right now. But yeah, of course I said yes. And in the beginning we did like half of a tour in a way that we just like checked that. Is it okay for us? Is it okay for me? Do I like it? Do they like it? And how it works out. But for me, it was like when we were talking about that, that will and how I want to improve myself as a musician and become better, and like about my career as a musician, I said in quite fast that quite early to them that I want to be like a band member in this, not a session musician in the long run. And I want to do lyrics. I want to do everything what's involved in the band stuff. And they were more like happy for it, because let's say we in Turmion Kätilöt, it's quite a big company as well. And there's lots of work to be done all the time, even though we are not touring or doing anything.
Yeah, with all the web shops and everything like that.
Yeah, and planning the tours, and before we joined the Nuclear Blast, we had our own label, so we did basically everything by ourselves.
So of course it felt quite intense, I would imagine, to jump involved. It was of course I knew about Fear of Domination back then, but I was more of a fan of Turmion Kätilöt because it was a bigger band back then, I think. And I think that it still is, but I respect you like the same. But my point here was that at least I would have been like shitting my pants at that point from excitement. But
I can tell you that I was shitting my pants of excitement, so no questions there.
Yeah. So how many albums have you been involved in with Turmion Kätilöt after that?
I have been doing lyrics and my singing in, let's see, 2 albums.
Yeah.
I come to the band when they were just releasing Dance Panic album, but it was already recorded when I started. I started with the tour of the Dance Panic, but they had already recorded all the vocals, so didn't do anything for that. But after that, we had Universal Satan and of course the latest Global Warning.
Let's talk a little bit more about Fear of Domination in terms of the shows, because it's a big band, 7 people, so it takes space on the stage to have you all there. So were you at first, were you a 6-piece, or how many members were you in the beginning?
In the beginning, in those garage years when we were just mostly drinking beer, we had 2 guitarists, bassist, me, and drummer. So we were like a 5-piece then. Then we had Nina Telén joined us as a keyboardist, and of course because we wanted to add those electronic sounds like we talk. Yeah, that's basically how it's developed. I'm just like wondering how it even went. But yeah, quite fast when we found out that we want to use those electric elements, we became 6-member band because we needed a keyboardist. And then the latest addition as well as Sarah joined the band, that we wanted to do more widely those vocals. We have used female vocals in the albums before as well, but I had always been really, like I said, I'm always exploring those sounds and as vocals, and I was curious to see how could it be that we could have like a female singer doing also metal vocals, and a male singer doing clean vocals, or different way, however it goes. Because usually the template is that there's female vocals with a beautiful female vocals, and then there's this ogre guy doing some grunts in the background. So we wanted to mess that up, that we can do everything basically.
So I think that you work really well together in terms of like harmonizing everything that that has been imminent on the latest album that you published, Metanoia, and I think that it works really well there. So Call of Schizophrenia, what album was it originally released on? Because
First.
So and you re-recorded that with Sarah then, and I really like that new version. So was it something that you wanted to do, like after Sarah joined the band, or like clearly like this is the song that I want to do, or was it something that you later thought together that okay, we're gonna do this because you had been releasing like several albums before that? Why that song, I would like to ask?
Well, it's that song, because even though it's like a really long time before the first album, and from the first album, and like I said, we were quite different band back in the days, but still that song has stuck with us, and we have been playing that live even now. But like I said, our band has changed a lot, so we wanted to do it like at the real version, how it sounds live nowadays, because there wasn't like much of a new recording or composing a new song, because it already sounded like that when we did it live. So we thought like I think it was also some kind of anniversary year for the first album. So we thought like let's do like a why wouldn't we do one song what we already play live at every show nearly. But we are doing it so different now, so we wanted to do it like a updated version from it.
And I think that it was it works really well. And for me, I have to admit that I first started listening to it as a new song, like okay, but then I started to listen, okay, this sounds a little bit familiar, why is it? And then I checked, okay, it's a new version of the song. And so it was more of recording a stage, like a live arrangement than
yes.
design.
And it has been really cool to see how the band has, in a way, sometimes it feels more like it's like a living being, and it constantly evolves itself around the music. So it's cool to see how we can use different kind of aspects or form like a different kind of harmonies or melodies, and there basically are no rules. It's like this one giant being developing and doing whatever it wants.
And of course, like I think that the scene of electronic music has been evolving all the time, so you can basically go along with that and take new aspects to the music while it evolves.
Yes, precisely.